The Subaru Forester is a name that has resonated with SUV enthusiasts for years. It's got the right mix of rugged charm, practicality, and reliability that many people are drawn to, making it a popular choice for those seeking a vehicle that can handle both the demands of everyday life and the thrill of a weekend adventure. But while the Forester has had many years of success, not every model year has lived up to its stellar reputation. Today, we're going to dive into the years you might want to think twice about when considering a used Subaru Forester. Stay with me to the end because we're saving the most notorious issue for last, one that could make a huge difference in whether or not a particular model is worth your money. The Forester first hit the market in 1997, and over the decades, Subaru has certainly refined and improved the vehicle's capabilities. But there are certain years where things didn't quite go as smoothly as planned. If you're considering buying a used Forester, it's crucial to understand which years to avoid and why. The most problematic years of the Forester can leave you with a significant number of headaches, and we're talking about issues that go beyond just your average wear and tear. Let's start with the early 2000s. The 2003 and 2004 models had their share of challenges. These 2 years have been known for some pretty annoying engine problems, especially with the head gaskets. Anyone familiar with Subaru's older models knows that head gasket failure was a reoccurring nightmare. Owners of the 2003 and 2004 Foresters reported leaks in the head gaskets, leading to overheating issues and hefty repair bills. What's even worse is that it often happened around the time the car reached the 100,000-mile mark. Now, for most cars, hitting that mileage should be a sign that they've still got plenty of life left. But for these Foresters, it often meant a trip to the mechanic, and not a cheap one. Another problem with these earlier models was the excessive oil consumption. Some owners found themselves needing to add oil more frequently than they ever anticipated, which, if ignored, could lead to engine failure. For someone not paying close attention to oil levels, this could spell disaster. There's nothing quite like the heartache of seeing that oil light flicker on the dashboard, only to find out you've already done some damage to the engine. It's not only inconvenient, but expensive. Moving forward a few years, we hit the 2009 model. This particular year saw the introduction of a complete redesign for the Forester, bringing in a new look and upgraded features. Unfortunately, it wasn't all smooth sailing. The 2009 Forester had a problem with its suspension. Specifically, the rear suspension system tended to wear out quickly, which led to uneven tire wear. Some owners experienced this issue repeatedly, finding that replacing parts didn't always seem to solve the underlying problem. Constantly dealing with uneven tire wear isn't just frustrating, it can also be unsafe, especially if it's affecting the car's handling. The 2009 model year was also known for excessive oil consumption. Much like its earlier counterparts, drivers had to be vigilant about checking their oil levels, and for those who were less proactive, it often meant expensive engine repairs. The frustration of always needing to monitor oil levels really detracted from the joy of owning what should have been a reliable vehicle. Now, let's talk about the 2014 and 2015 models. These 2 years were known for some particularly concerning transmission issues. Subaru made the switch to a CVT, continuously variable transmission, in an attempt to improve fuel efficiency and provide smoother driving. The idea was good, but the execution fell short. The CVTs in the 2014 and 2015 models were prone to failure. Some drivers experienced shuddering, hesitation, and outright transmission failure at lower mileages than they ever expected. For an SUV that's supposed to be a reliable companion on road trips, nothing can ruin your confidence like feeling your transmission struggle to shift or hearing strange noises coming from beneath the vehicle. Replacing or repairing a CVT can be incredibly costly, and it's the kind of problem that might have you regretting the purchase altogether. There were also complaints about the interior quality for these years. The 2014 and 2015 Foresters had issues with the build quality of the cabin. Many owners found that the materials used in the interior just didn't hold up over time. There were reports of panels rattling and seats that wore down prematurely. When you're investing in a car that you hope to keep for years, having an interior that ages quickly is a huge letdown. It's not just about comfort. It's about the overall experience of driving a vehicle that feels sturdy and well-made. The 2018 Forester had a different set of issues. While the engine and transmission held up better compared to some of the earlier problematic years, it's the electrical system that became a frequent source of frustration for many drivers. Drivers reported battery drainage problems, and not just occasionally. Some owners found that they had to replace their battery every year, which is far from the industry norm. If you've ever dealt with a dead battery in the middle of winter or found yourself stranded unexpectedly, you know just how aggravating it can be. The problem seemed to stem from a parasitic drain, something in the vehicle that continued to draw power even when it was supposed to be completely off. Tracking down an electrical issue like that can be like finding a needle in a haystack, and it's not something you'd want to deal with regularly. On top of that, the 2018 model also faced problems with the infotainment system. Owners experienced the screen freezing, connectivity issues, and sometimes the entire system shutting off for no apparent reason. It might not seem like a deal breaker initially, but over time, the small inconveniences add up and can become a major source of annoyance. Imagine trying to use navigation on a road trip only for the system to decide it's taking a break. Not exactly the kind of reliability you're hoping for from a Subaru. Now, we've come to perhaps the most troublesome year of all, the 2011 Subaru Forester. This year stands out not just for one issue, but for a combination of problems that make it a model to approach with caution. The 2011 Forester had an alarming number of engine problems. Oil consumption was once again a major complaint, with many owners reporting that their engines were burning through oil at an excessive rate. It wasn't just a small inconvenience, it was a defect that led to engine failure for a significant number of vehicles. Some owners even reported that they needed a complete engine rebuild, which is no small undertaking in terms of both cost and inconvenience. The 2011 Forester also had issues with the air conditioning system. Several owners found their AC units failed entirely, and repairs often weren't cheap. In hot climates, a non-functioning AC is more than just uncomfortable, it can make driving downright unbearable. Beyond that, the 2011 model faced challenges with the suspension system, similar to what was seen in earlier models. Rear suspension components wore out quickly, and many owners were left dealing with the hassle of frequent repairs and replacements. The icing on the cake for the 2011 model, though, was the recall that affected the passenger airbag system. Subaru had to recall a number of 2011 Foresters due to concerns over airbag deployment. Safety is one of the main reasons people choose a Subaru, so having a recall related to something as crucial as airbags undermined a lot of the trust that people had in the brand. So after all of that, what's the takeaway here? Subaru has had some amazing years with the Forester, years where they nailed the balance between reliability, practicality, and performance. But like any automaker, they've had their share of setbacks. The head gasket problems of the early 2000s, the suspension and oil consumption woes, the CVT issues in the mid-2010s, and the electrical gremlins of the late 2010s are all issues that serve as reminders of the challenges that can come with owning a used car. The most notorious of all, though, is the 2011 model, a year where multiple problems converged to create a perfect storm of frustration for many owners.